Hi everyone, this is like I think about the fourth video that I've posted on my channel since I started the channel. And I originally started this channel because the name of the channel is veramultiman.com. Originally the idea was to have it was basically supposed to be, there's a lot of I guess what it would have been is a part of the intellectual dark web. So I would have been out there, speaking truth, talking into current events that are happening from a biblical or a Christian perspective. Over the following years, as much as I wanted to do that, excuse me, you're going to have to bear with me. I'm still recovering from the flu. Over the years, it's been very difficult for me to maintain a focus enough to actually get something going on the channel. And that's why I've not really posted any content. And I've seen a lot of things happening over the years, and there's just this thing that's been rising up in me time after time saying, I've got to speak into this, I've got to speak into this. And then I thought, well, what's the point? I mean, who's going to listen to you? Who are you? And then I thought, you know what? I'm someone who can see the truth. I can see the truth. And I'm not ashamed to actually say that. I'm not postmodern going, this is my truth, this is your truth. No, you step off a cliff and there's a certain truth that you're going to encounter. Walk out in front of a Mack truck traveling at, 80 kilometers an hour, and there's a certain truth that you're going to discover. Johnny Cage was I think his name was Johnny Cage, and that's not the guy from Mortal Kombat. Johnny Cage, I'm sure that was his name. He was a musician. He believed in randomness, he's a real postmodern guy. There's no, so he used to do all this random stuff. He was a mushroom collector, and if you know anything about mushroom collecting, you'll know that if you're going to collect mushrooms, you have to meticulously collect, catalogue, and ensure that you've got the right mushroom. Because if you want to cook with a particular mushroom, and it's actually a poisonous mushroom, you're going to kill yourself. So this Johnny Cage, who believed in randomness and all this sort of thing, when it came to his own life, where he used to collect these mushrooms and eat them, you better believe he didn't believe in randomness. I'd throw a whole bunch of mushrooms into a basket and say, hey, Johnny, just put your hand in and life's random, man. Take a mushroom, cook it, eat it, man. No, he didn't put his money where his mouth was. There's people, they really get me angry because they just love sounding so bohemian and, oh, we're hip and we're with it. And, just like a lot of the millennial generation now. I'm sorry, that is characteristic of your generation. Each generation have good and bad characteristics to them. Excuse me. It's just the reality. Oh, goodness me. I'm not going to edit this video. I mean, you've got me, baby, coughing and everything. So you've got these people who believe in randomness and everything else like that, and believe in postmodernism. And I'm seeing this manifest into the leftism, the regressive leftism today, right? So we're seeing regressive leftism taking over everything. And not just taking it over, what they're doing is they're using jackboot, what I call jackboot soliloquy. So basically they're trying to fascistically force everyone into capitulating to their way of thinking, which is pure madness. Their way of thinking is pure madness. There's no doubt about it. So I'm seeing all this happening and I'm going, I have to speak into this. I have to say something. I have to say something. Why do I have to say something? Is it because my voice is so important? No. Why do I have to say something? Is it because I have such a massive following that, I'm going to make a massive influence in the world? No. I have to say something for the reason that you have to say something. And it's this reason. I have 3 children with my wife now. So growing up with these children, I had to watch a lot of kids movies. And one of the most impressive scenes that I saw from one of these movies was from the movies Ants. And in the movies Ants, and some of you may know where I'm going with this, in the movies Ants, it talks about how, yes, one ant by himself is not a problem. But multiple ants, there's a problem. And if you can stop each ant from acting corporately, then we have the power to suppress them. But if you have a people who are willing to act corporately to overcome the bullies, right, then that corporate acting together of these people can create change. We need change. Since the 1960s, the I apologise to you if you are a classical liberal. The leftist, regressive, Marxist ideologues have taken over the intellectual spaces of our educational systems. They have been infiltrating our political systems. They have been infiltrating, and now they are starting to infiltrate the economic systems through Silicon Valley. Excuse me. There have been a number of voices, Infowars, Paul Joseph Watson. There have been a number of conservative voices who've been shut down. I know that Southern Lauren has been shut down from certain aspects of social media. I know of other conservative voices or even other liberal voices. Look at Sargon of Akkad, who's not... Sargon of Akkad is nowhere near... He's not a conservative. He's a true classic liberal. And even he's been shut down and warned and demonetized and everything else like that. Silicon Valley is on a war against conservative or any voice that doesn't support regressive, leftist ideology. That's the reality. I think I am going to have to edit all this coughing out. So this is it. The leftists have taken over pretty much the instruments of power in every country. Not completely. Not completely. I would say probably 95% of our educational, probably around about 70 to 80% of our political, and when you consider who has the lion's share of wealth, you've actually probably have to say, you'd have to say between 70 to 80% of our economic power or economic total economic pull they have. So you look at Zuckerberg, you look at all the Silicon Valley, you look at people like George Soros, you look at all these different, even Bill and Melinda Gates to a degree. They are all influenced. They are either influenced to a degree or they are completely sold out to leftist ideology. Even Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is restricting book sales. Now, there are some pretty crappy things out there in books. There really are. But here's the thing. Here's where regressive leftism is going to take us. And it's the same place that any communist system or any fascistic system takes us. Here it is. Whatever empowers the will of the individual to choose for themselves is on the side of truth and is on the side of right. Anything that disempowers the ability of the individual to choose, to have the freedom to choose for himself what is right and wrong, that is fascism. That is what we need to avoid. And Jeff Bezos has engaged, or Amazon has engaged in that particular sphere as well. So we're in a war. We are in a war. Now, it's not a war for now with guns and weapons and everything else like that, not physical weapons anyway, but we are 110% in a war. And here's the reality, the cold hard reality, and this is why I've decided it's time for me to actually start making videos and start speaking up. Even if, I don't care if 3 people see it, I don't care if 1 person sees it. Here's why I'm doing this, because we need to start fighting back. Now you say, well, we do have people who fight back. We've got Ben Shapiro, we've got Stephen Crowder, we've got Sargon of Akkad, we've got all these different people from a whole range, a whole spectrum. That's true diversity, by the way, of political thought. They all disagree fundamentally about vital, like really important issues, but they are in total agreement about the empowerment of the individual to choose what is right and wrong for themselves. But here's where I see, on our side of the camp, I guess you could say, this is our Achilles heel. We're so committed to individualism that I think that there's not a fear, but a reticence to unify in a strong, cohesive manner. Right now, there is kind of a unity in terms of that hasn't been objectively sought. It's been kind of subjectively applied. And what I mean by that is there's a term that's given to them called the intellectual dark web. And and I'll admit, yes, we're all a part of this intellectual dark web, and we all think the same in terms of liberty, freedom of speech, all that sort of thing. But here's the problem: it's not intentional. The left is intentional about their unity in terms of how they're thinking. I'm not talking about the minor stuff. I'm talking about their overall strategy, and they're all unified behind it, intentionally. Our side of the aisle, not so much, and we need to. That's the difference. And what I want to do, and I don't care where this goes or whatever, I'm just doing. So this is the thing. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to have a go. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to speak. If every single conservative, every single person who is not in the regressive left stands up joins together, everyone who owns a YouTube account stands up, has the balls to stand up, has the courage to plant their feet on the ground and say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. We're all going to fight back. Let me tell you something. Things would change. And if they didn't change on the platform, here's what you do. Here's what I'm saying to every single person who's fighting against the regressive left. Don't complain about, I've been kicked off by Facebook, I've been kicked off by YouTube, I've been kicked off by this, by that, by that, by that, by that. Create your own platforms and unify behind those particular platforms. If everyone pulled out of YouTube and got around one other platform, call it, I don't know, UsTube or WeTube or whatever you want to call it, okay? If you did that, then guess what? You'd actually be a force to reckon with YouTube. In fact, they'd start soiling themselves, because as much as they want to start rabbiting on about their ideals and let's create a more divergent society because it's going to be better for everyone, instead of doing that, stand up. They would look at it. They would look at the fact, oh my gosh, we've just lost X amount of people, and now we've got this new competitor who started overnight, because all the people who've left us here have gone over there. Guess what? I don't care how progressive they are. They still speak to the Benjamins, baby. The Benjamins still speak to them. They're a company that has shareholders and that is meant to generate an income. Money talks, and he who makes the gold makes the rules. These, I'm trying to be nice to them. These, I want to call them something, but I won't. I'm making money from you. They're making money from you, and you're letting them. And then you're complaining about, oh, they're kicking us off, and they do something about it. Fight back. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know anything about anything. I don't. But guess what? I don't know anything about anything. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a platform. If no one else is going to do it, if no one else is going to stand up and start a platform, I'm going to start a platform. I don't know how to start a platform, but I'm going to do it. I'll call it UsTube. Why not? And if I start a platform, let's start a platform together. I mean, for goodness sakes, let's just join together and unify together and fight this thing, and let's get rid of it. Because I'm telling you now, the future, our future, there's certain defining moments in future that have defined, or that have steered the course of destinies for nations and for people groups. This is one of those moments. This is one of those moments, and this is a sink or swim moment. And I'm telling you that if you, as a voice that understands the destructive nature of leftism, if you do nothing, then you have failed the generations that are to come. Sometimes we have to forget about what we want in order to secure the future for the generations to come. You think about all those men and women that sacrificed their lives in the service of their countries in every major conflict. World War I, World War II, Korea, even Vietnam. Even though I believe we were in Vietnam for the wrong reasons, that's not the soldiers' fault. They still fought for their countries. And we need to stand up and become soldiers, because we are in a war. We are in a war. Make no mistake about it. We're in a war. And if we don't fight now, we're done. We're finished. I'm telling you, we're finished. I can't remember the guy's name, but there is a book on, you see, every single generation goes through a particular cycle, and there's particular things that are kind of like indicators that that civilization is about to collapse. It's a cycle. We are on the precipice of the cycle where we are going to be wiped out as a civilization. Now, I'm not talking about every single person is going to die. I'm just saying that as the civilization that we have now, Western civilization that has given us, the beauties of the Cultural Revolution, it gave us the Renaissance, we had Reformation, we had all these revolutions that created and made our lives better. And it's been this continual process. And now we are in an age of decadence, and we've lost our way. We need to start waking up and realizing that everything that we have worked to build as a civilization is only one generation away from being lost. And you can't fold your hands and say, well, we'll just leave it to the next generation. So the baby boomers, and if you're a baby boomer, I don't mean to offend you, but here's the cold hard truth. You squandered away the inheritance of the next generation to seek after your own pleasure, your own desire, to gratify your own desires. You did that. That's a reality. I mean, even now, a baby boomer mantra for why should I give my kids an inheritance? It's that kind of selfish, self-centered attitude which has led to the destruction. Well, sorry, it hasn't led to it yet, but it will lead to the destruction of the civilization. But see, they don't care, because you're gonna, the ball may not drop while you're still alive. You're just happy enough to leave it to the next generation to fix up the mess. And we will, or we'll die trying. So this is the thing, what I started the video with pretty much. Every single person has to come to this point and realize that you must fight. You must fight to ensure that the future generations are going to have a civilization to enjoy prosperity, peace, all those things. And if the leftists win, we will not have that civilization. We will not have that inheritance to give to the next generation of people. You've got to start fighting. If you are against the regressive leftism, you've got to forget about your own comfort. You've got to forget about what's going to make me happy. We've got to get our hands dirty, and it's going to get uncomfortable, but we've got to do it. We've got to stop whining about what's being taken away from us, and we've got to start fighting to create things for us. This is how we're going to fight. Right now, this fight is about this and this. If we allow it to go on any further, I'm telling you that it will go from this to something more physical. This is real. This is not an alarmist propaganda. This is real. So I'm going to leave it there. I've decided I'm going to leave the coughing in. I want you to see me in all my glory. I want you to understand this is serious stuff. Fight. You need to fight. That's it. I'm going to keep this channel updated. I'm going to work on those platforms. I don't know how to do it, but I'll find a way. And my call to every single person who's against regressive leftism, either find a way or join a way. But let's make sure that we start becoming unified in what we're doing. Okay. I'll see you later.